Hello and welcome to Tectonics Rewritten. This is our invite to all, an introduction to this new course. Now, tackling academia head-on sounds like a big challenge, but with all the satellite imagery we have today and all the data gathered in the last 50 years, this is not as difficult as it seems. So my aim here is to be detailed enough to be clear and concise, yet simple enough for an intelligent teenager to understand. Now, our basic premise is this. Tectonics exists. You can't get away from it. We got to deal with it. So we need to rely on evidence, on epistemic objectivity, the things that you can measure. And following along in this course, you can use tools like Google Earth with their measuring tools, and you can go and measure for yourself exactly what we're showing. Now, my research began as a pursuit for the geologic origin of the South Atlantic anomaly. And that led to a lot more. With this class, you'll get access to our 80-page full-color audio book, along with our award-winning film, Fingerprints of the Flood, and you'll have first access viewing of our all-new software, the Genesis simulation. I'll show you the formation of the Earth from the latest NASA Grail data and how this arranged our general land masses, followed by the evidence that totally rewrites tectonics. Now, tectonics is clear in academia today. They teach at all levels Pangea as the origin. Now, Pangea is the notion that South America and Africa and North America all fit together, and that the mid-Atlantic ridge slowly spread them apart over time. Now, it sounds like a great notion, stood for a lot of years, but if you think about it, with all the satellite imagery and the data we have today, if we can conclusively show a barrier between there, it throws the Pangea notion out the window. If it never was together, it could not have come apart that way. We know that they're moving in certain directions today, and we'll show you all the data, but if we can conclusively show that a barrier exists, plus, if you'll notice, they have India, Antarctica, and Australia clear off to the side, plus Eurasia on the top. These things are all out of place, and they just don't balance in a three dimensions. You'll see this all in our show. You'll see also that we followed the World Digital Magnetic Anomaly Map as our guide on the surface. I spent 6 years measuring all this, and then another 3 years animating a 4K resolution wrap that we've put together in so many ways to serve you. If you look closely, you'll see that the magnetic signatures and all tangible evidence, they reveal a barrier once existed between these. So there's no way Pangea ever happened. That means Pangea and all its predecessors are fallacy. If it never started that way, their magical morphing plates never happened. We'll show you the answers to all this and more. But what the evidence does reveal is that the Scotia Plate was resting between Antarctica and South America, and explosions began at a place called Shackleton Range while it was resting right above South Georgia Island. You'll see some evidence how it blew out Berkner Island and caused a cataclysm around the world. Eventually, it separated all continents. When you see how this is put together, you'll see the actual forming of the South Atlantic anomaly, and the only way it could happen in that the continents were together so tight that they could not come apart without a cataclysm. No matter how much you move it slightly, it reaches a point where it just unwinds and explodes like a over-tightened watch spring. Now, you'll see how the magnetic signatures and all evidence reveal this as very close to the original position of the continents, with barriers in the north and in the south, plus the proper layouts. And we're going to show you how that all comes together, and that how rapid separation is the only answer based upon the latest data, and that this caused the continents to separate fast, which caused ocean waters to slosh around the globe repeatedly, and that created the flood. Now, let's take a moment. I want to show you some of the latest discoveries by the China Geologic Survey, just to build your confidence that we're on to something more than just fallacy here. If you take a closer look at Antarctica, we're going to show you clearly how this coast broke away violently from South America, this coast of Antarctica, and you won't be able to deny the evidence. We've got such great things to show you with this Genesis simulation. Gunneris Bank broke away violently from Buenos Aires. You can measure it for yourself, how it fits, and it all comes together in full 3D. Now, deep eruption poured out from here, forming the Scotia Plate, and we're going to give you a little teaser here and show you how this southern part of Antarctica meshed together, and how South Georgia fits, along with how all the mass of the Falkland Islands fit in there as well. Now, if you look closely, you'll see we are able to track it right down to Berkner Island, which is unique. It's got these 4 unique notches that if we put them back into these positions and unwind this, move everything back to where it originated from, it fits perfectly, and it shows 4 different points of unique volcanic connection and exploding, and that this whole area is really scoured marks from original volcanism that exist today without erosion. And you'll see how everything underneath, how this area carved around like a chisel, carving out the surface of the ocean sediment. Now, I want to show you this from the latest evidence that came from the China Geologic Survey. These folks have done some massive seismic endeavors in Antarctica, and we can clearly see the bedrock surface, which allows us in 3D to mate high-resolution imagery, so we can actually confirm our findings for the last 12 years with what's going on underneath Antarctica. It shows what they call the MOHO, which is close to the lithosphere and the ocean seafloor, and the footprint that Antarctica has there. And if we go down even further, over 200 kilometers to the lithosphere, asthenosphere boundary, folks, this temperatures there are in such high radiuses for this to stay formed and stay there to this day. This is today's evidence. I mean, 200 kilometers below the surface is phenomenal stuff. Right on top of the upper mantle, where the temperatures are undeniable in their formations. First, I want to show you, most obvious here is this visible pressure point that caused the split. You can see the bulge where it hardened after it split. I'm going to show you that lava poured out from this crevasse in a specific manner and order that started and confirms our actual position that we showed in our film and our research, how it matches that, but also how it pushed everything from deep within the earth. And the directions even show us how it flushed away, and we link this with University of California, Berkeley's super blobs as they back right up into a massive mega blob that was there from the dawn of impact. We're going to show you the initiator and the cataclysm, or the start of it all. Also, you can see how the motion moved, and when it exploded open, it caused unique pressure points to build up. Now, this is one unique important point. This secondary pressure point is only caused by the push in directions that we described and have been describing for decades now. And this allows us to bring in the giant ADMAP. Now, that's the Antarctic Digital Magnetic Anomaly Project. This is at such high resolution compared to the World Digital Magnetic Anomaly Map. Now, this is put out by the Scientific Committee on Antarctic Research, otherwise known as SCAR. What this does is allow us to see how the upwelling pressures link with our magnetic connections that we follow. I find this just phenomenal. Where we see that upwelling pressure I pointed to, you can see how the stretch marks of the Scotia Plate, forming the Scotia Plate, lead right to that. And we also have these stretch marks I made it with the World Digital Magnetic Anomaly. It shows how it stretched away from South America, all the uplifting pressures that blew out, and this matches perfectly the data that they've now discovered 200 kilometers under the Earth. But most importantly, what allowed me to link things together is this stretch mark in the Amundsen Sea. This is at the base of that push away, and that's why you have that red dot, that high pressure system. It can only happen from that high pressure system. But what this does is allows us to link this spot, which we did with Australia. Now, if we look closely, those two red dots in Australia, that red dot in Australia, how that links in the Amundsen Sea, you can see how every pressure, based on what we're going to show you, shows the formation of every landmass in Australia, every twist, every bend, even this red dot. Perfect pivot point, folks, and it's confirmed underneath, now 200 kilometers underneath in Antarctica. Now, we can see here plainly how it stretched away Tasmania, which we did in our first preview film in 2006. Now, this allows us to reveal all formative pressures for all continents around the entire planet, which is why we're doing this course, Tectonics Rewritten. It even allows for islands as small as New Zealand, South Island, which if you look very, very, very closely, you can see New Zealand, South Island footprint in there where we showed it was torn apart. Now, you'll be able to witness the entire rewriting of tectonics, folks. And I invite you to this class. You'll get all this and much, much more in Tectonics Rewritten. Hope you join us.